with Unico Williams. That's right, it's your boy. Coming at you on a Thursday this time. You know, I play with you with the other days. I play with that. But today we are coming at you on a Thursday, which is my favorite day of the week. Why? Well, I was born on a Thursday, 11:47 a.m. Woo! So happy to be back amongst you all, as I always love to do, because I love hanging out. I love hanging out with y'all. And you know, but you know, it's not always all about me. What about you? How are you today? What did you do this week? Did you get a haircut? Did you get your hair done? Do you look as good as you always do? Did you try to do something new? You know, that's what I admire about you, is that, you know, you're always trying to add more to what you already are great at. You always just try and add to that and become great at those things too. And then sometimes they try to trip you up. But I'm going to tell you like this here. I'm going to do it. I got to do this again, because let me say it one more time. Did they try and trip you up? Well, I got some advice. When they trip you up, do a front flip. That'll make it look cool when they try and trip you up. And then they'll see you as I always do. And now you right here with me again. Woo! Let's get right into it now. Now, our first topic here, and I'm going to try and keep this short because we don't give these type of people that kind of attention. But we need to, this is news. That's what I do. We talk about news, we talk about entertainment, we talk about things that happen in our world. That's what we do here on Do You Hear Me with Unico Williams. That's what we do. We talk about things that are currently going on. So with our first story, it takes us down to Florida in Dade County. We have the verdict for that boy that went in that school February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2018, and did what he did. And he's already been found guilty on 17 of the senseless M-word victims. And our heart goes out to their families. But now we came to the verdict of what's the penalty? Is the penalty going to be life in prison with no parole, or is it going to be unaliving him by way of the state of Florida? The verdict came back, and as the judge, who did a pretty good job, this was her first penalty stage trial that she'd ever done. And I know these are tough ones because the life of someone is at stake. No matter what it was that they did, no matter, somebody's life is at stake. It is what it is. And that's a heavy burden to carry. And it was a heavy burden to carry for the 12 jurors that had to decide this person's fate. And when it came to the aggravating factors, it was a unanimous yes. He did all that. He did all that. It was horrific. It was terrible. It was planned. All of the above. But when it came to the unaliving penalty, the decision came down that the jury did not unanimously agree that he should have the unalive penalty. So this came down, all 17, they use each in all 17 people that were victims that we will no longer that no longer walk amongst the earth with us. And they said that he absolutely did that. But it came down that they decided to go against unaliving him. The parents, they were understandably upset about the outcome. They felt like he deserved the other outcome. And, that is what it is in its own right. After the verdict came down, the families came up and they had an opportunity, which they'll have another opportunity on November 1st when the real sentence comes down. They actually sentence them on November 1st. They'll be able to do their victim statements and all that in front of the judge, but there's nothing that the judge can do except for go with what the jury said. But man, it's very passionate speeches, and it was saddening. Honestly, it was very saddening to watch these families. We've seen them have to come up there and testify during the trial. They testified during the penalty stage, and then they testified outside the courtroom after the findings came down, and it was just sad to see it. I know that it hurts, but it brings up a lot of questions. One of the questions is, if going into a school and you plan this out for months and your goal was 20 people, and some of the things about, like, hitting people and then coming back and hitting them again, and the jury walking through Marjorie Stoneman High School to see, because they left it untouched in a sense, in regards to what happened. Obviously, the bodies have been removed and people have been memorialized. I understand that. Man, I feel bad for those jurors because this was a tough thing. But the defense, I will say that the defense gave a very compelling speech in regards to that you'll have to live with this decision for the rest of your life. And is that decision to unalive someone or not? Because in a sense, do you feel like you are an unaliver? It was a compelling speech. I personally don't believe in that penalty, although, albeit as heinous as it was. It's a terrible act. Awful. One of the family members brought up the fact that, what constitutes that penalty? And here's what we're going to have to look at now. Here's the Pandora's box that has been opened in this, and this is a discussion of that could potentially divide us as people, as a society, as a government. The first thing is, should we just not make the unalive penalty, like just get rid of that penalty, period? That brought that up. I personally feel like if you don't make that an option at all, nobody has anything to argue about. And then you have 12 human beings have to decide based off of the facts that have been presented to them. They have to eventually come to a decision whether somebody should be unalive or not. And I don't think that is really a decision that anybody should have to make. There are people in this world that make that decision to unalive people, and it's not their place to do that. It's no one's place to decide who lives or is unalive. I definitely agree with that sentiment. But violence does beget more violence. But here's another very important thing that got brought up. And it's essentially downplaying mental health, mental illness. I don't want that to become a focal discussion. Yes, there have been people that have worse circumstances than this person had and decided to go ahead and live a life that is that would be prolificent to society, to other people's lives, to help endear other people's lives. And then there's people like him that had things going on in their head and may not be right. And this is what they decided to do. And not only did they decide to do it, he showed a lot of quote unquote intelligence, if you will, in regards to his planning on this. He looked up police response times, he looked up other mass unalivings at schools. He did a lot of planning for this. But eventually what would save him is his mental health, his mental illness. The boy's not right. And honestly, I saw the worst of people when they're hurt. A lot of the families came up there and they said a lot of things like, I hope that I hope that someone, because when you get the unalive penalty, there's a whole bunch of appeals, and he probably end up living to be like 60 or 70 by the time they decide to unalive him. But because like appeals and stuff, they take years. Just like this happened in 2018, we're just getting a resolution in 2022. Now you appeal, and then you appeal, and you appeal until you're old in age, and then they eventually say, all right, enough appeals, and they set a date, and it's a wrap for you. What's your final meal? But we saw very angry people and what you say in the heat of the moment. And if you don't even know if you really mean that. Some people really is like, no, I mean that. I wanted this the whole time. You know, you never know what you would do or what you would say unless you're in those shoes. And we saw people that were in those shoes today and how they reacted. And they would hope that now that he has the death pen, I mean, I'm sorry, not death. Did I say Death Note? That's a really good show. We're talking about people that are like, okay, since you're going to be in prison, I hope that someone in prison unalives them, takes care of them, if you will, for the people on the outside. People are wishing that upon him. These people might have been very, very, very nice people. But when something like this happens to someone, you just never know what someone is thinking. You can be very, very angry. And we saw people go into their most. And again, I'm not going into like, I'm not trying to give pity on him, but we're just seeing when people are very upset, sometimes your own personal values and things like that go out the door because you're upset. You're mad. You have every right to be those things, and you'll say things. And maybe you mean them and maybe you don't. But at the end of the day, we did see the darker side of humanity when something really bad happens. When somebody takes something away from you, you want the worst for that person. And I don't have an answer for any of that. But I just know that I saw it. And my prayers go out that they find peace. I did see one parent say that they want to do all that they can to stop this from happening. But I hope that this whole situation gives the opportunity for us to look at each person that we run into. I wouldn't say as a sympathetic person, but we should reach out to each person that we meet with sympathy. And maybe we can stop things like this from happening. Maybe somebody's on the brink on the brink. I'll never forget. One day I was at a basketball camp, and this kid, he was an observer, and we were taking a break, and I see this little kid. I don't even know his name. I don't remember his name. but I remember every detail of that interaction. And he had tree bark. He had some tree bark, and he kept putting it against his wrist. And I'm looking around like, don't nobody else see this? So I go to him like, hey, what's up, buddy? What are you doing? And he said, I'm trying to unalive myself. It's a kid. I don't think he was any older than anywhere between 4th and 6th grade. He was a light-skinned kid. And I was like, hey, it's all good, man. Like, life is good. You're out here, and, you know, we're trying to put on a show and do the best that we can. And, you know, we're out here trying to chase our dream. We all, you know, we're from Indiana. So, you know, we all want to, everybody wants to be a basketball star. And we're at this camp here trying to showcase our skills. And, you know, at that point I took action. And I'll never forget, I went and grabbed one of the pastors that was there that was actually a very good basketball player. And I was like, can you talk to him? Because he's talking about, and I told him my interaction with him, like, can you talk to him? Is there something you can do? Because I wouldn't feel right if I just said what I said and gave my speech to this kid without letting somebody else know. I don't know what happened after that. I don't know his life before that. I don't know his life after that, but I know his life in that moment. He was a kid, and those thoughts were on his mind. So I intervened. I could have just been like, walk past him and be like, what's this kid doing? You know? I could have done that, but I didn't. I chose to intervene in a way that I could, and I knew that with me being in my youth at the time, I you know, I didn't know what to do in that moment in regards to what could I say. I tried to say something, but I felt like me saying what I said wasn't going to be enough after that day. Maybe he'd take my words and sleep on it a little bit, but that still didn't change whatever situation he was going through that made him have those thoughts at such a young age. But I intervened and got an adult involved, and one that would go on to become a pastor and do all those things. So it just, if you notice signs or things like that, like, try and befriend people and try and get in their heads if you can. Try and, like, we have to take care of each other. It's not, in that moment, it was me trying to keep this kid from doing whatever he was planning on doing or what he wanted to do. I understand that that particular tree bark wasn't going to unalive him, but he may try it with something else. He may have tried to do it in another way. He may have kept those thoughts on his mind, but I thought that, like, I had to do something, let this kid know that somebody cares about him. And we have to live like that if we're ever going to move past this particular situation, and hopefully we can stop these type of mass incidents from happening. Is sometimes all it takes is for us to show that we care. Yes, it might be the weird kid. Yes, it might be the one that it's not that quote unquote cool to. No, what's cool is caring about people and not belittling and putting people down. That's not the way to do it. So I said I wasn't going to spend no time on that, but I do want to spend time on, I want us as people to do the best that we can to look at the signs of other people that may not be having the best life, that show signs that they are anti-people. I will get back at those that don't care about me. I'll get back at the world because the world hates me, so I hate them. Show love, and I'm gonna say that. So, I'm prayers up for everybody in that situation. But let's go ahead and move on to the bullshit, y'all. Let's move on to the bullshit. So, this week in Kanye West. Oh boy, Kanye West has been being accused of allegedly being anti-Semitic. He's been on Tucker Carlson, and some footage was leaked that he was saying some anti-Semitic things. He went on LeBron's show, The Shop, and they decided to pull the plug on that show, period. The footage is there, but they're not releasing it because he said some anti-Semitic things, allegedly, on both of these shows. Now, I'm watching the Tucker Carlson, like the snippet of what they quote unquote leaked. And he was speaking about Jews. And he was correlating black people as part of Jews. Now, if you read the Bible, there's this whole thing about the 12 tribes of Judah, which black people are a part of. I think that black people are more prevalent, or people of color are more prevalent in the Bible, seeing as how it took place in the Middle East, than people think. So in that particular situation, I think that people use, like, I would say this. If I'm Kanye's homie, I'm going to tell him, don't use the word Jew. Use black people. You're black. You have a card that allows for you to say what you need to say about black people as a black man, as long as you're not disparaging black people because you're black. You're a black man. Don't use the word Jew, because that's a whole nother thing. Now, you can bring up 12 tribes of Judah and say that, you can say, oh, yeah, and also in a sense, we're Jews too because we're part of the 12 tribes of Judah. That gives you some sort of correlation, and it doesn't make it seem like you're being anti-Semitic. Now, also allegedly, there was some talk of how he was like he loves Hitler or something like that. I've not seen any substantiated evidence or clips that say that. So with that being said, if you hear anything about that, take that with a grain of salt until we hear the clips. Now, when I see the clips, I will make a judgment at that point in time. But I think I understood in a sense now, because we're all trying to make sense of what Kanye is saying at this point, okay? We're all trying to make sense of what he's saying. Some things sound really bad. And when you cut it up into certain clips, it sounds really bad. But when you take the whole context as to what he was saying, just like we always say, study to show thyself approved. That's it. Just get the whole story and then make, like, Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff, Reels. Remember Vine, y'all? All those things are short span or short attention span kind of platforms. Do the most that you can within 8 to 15 seconds, and you got something, okay? 60 seconds is 100% the threshold. Shout out to y'all for hanging out with me because, like, I'll put out a reel, I'll do something in regards to promoting this show, and then you come here and then you can listen to everything that I have to say. But I can give you a clip of the things that I have to say today off of this show, which would lead you to come to this show and we'll talk about it, right? Cool beans. I'm just saying he's obviously allegedly going through a manic depressive episode right now, off the meds, if you will. We saw how he allegedly showed adult entertainment to people he felt like betrayed him, and that made them uncomfortable. And that was his way of showing them, like, you're making me uncomfortable when you steal my ideals. I think that was a bit dramatic. Okay? That was a bit dramatic. I get it. That was a bit dramatic. That's a bit too much. You can just say, like, yo, you stole my ideals and I don't like it. And I'm also filming our meeting, by the way. And I'm just telling you, like, he can just go up there and be like, listen, this was my ideal, and come with facts and say, here's the concept design that I initially drew. Here's what you put out, and you didn't put my name on it, and you didn't give me credit for it. That's what he should have probably done with Adidas. Like, if you come with facts, no one can ever. We don't have to always put on a display. We don't always have to put on a show every time we're trying to prove a point. We can simply say what we need to say, follow it up with facts, and go from there. And if you're going to film it, obviously you want to leave it up to public opinion. Fair enough. Cool. Do what you do. But say what you need to say. Follow it up with facts. We don't need all the showmanship all the time, man. So that's what I got to say about that. You might say you don't got the answers, Unico, but as a supporter of Kanye, up until like recently, like at this point, this is not a Kanye that I vibe with. It's not. I vibe with the Kanye that people didn't believe that he could be this, and people didn't believe that he could be that. I vibe with that Kanye, and he eventually made it. Now I feel like he's got to let that go. Let that anger go. You made it, bro. You made it to what you wanted to be. You got out of Southside Chicago. You got out of being just a producer. You got out of, how they just kept you as just making beats for people, and they allowed you to rap. And then they said, cool, you a good rapper. They finally let you do that. So you got to do that and live your dream. Then you got into fashion. And fashion is a different world than rapping. And you get that. And then you try to get all these people because you feel like because you are who you are, that people are just supposed to automatically just say, oh, yeah, we got to put our money behind this. And, he wasn't trying to get that support from his fans and his people. He's trying to get support from people that don't look like him. And it is giving, it's definitely giving, I want approval of people that don't look like me. It is giving that. But that's not the Kanye I know. The Kanye I know was somebody that looks like me. The Kanye that I looked up to was somebody that looks like me, that had different interests than some of the people that he was surrounded by, and got made fun of for that. But you stayed the course and believed in who you were. And you made it out of that. That's what I believe. Now, I didn't go to art school. I kept on going to public school and lived my life. I got the jokes. And I learned how to use my creativity in my head and my intelligence to make jokes. I used all the things that were afforded to me personally to survive and make it through those things. And you did, and there were some times where I was like, it doesn't make sense to be myself. And it backfired on me. And I made mistakes. But every time I listened to you, it brought me back to who I am and what I've always wanted for myself. And sometimes my self-esteem, I overcompensate sometimes. I will say that. I sometimes overcompensate. But I always do center myself. But sometimes I understand what it's like to want to prove yourself. I get that. And you helped me do that, Kanye. I don't know if you'll ever hear this ever in a million years. I don't know. But at some point, you have to find that part where you say, I'm happy with who I am. I did great things despite my circumstances. Yes, I always knew I was going to be great. I always knew that that I'm special. But at some point, you got to be happy that you made it. And I'm not saying be content, but you got to stop using your anger, in a sense, after a while. You got to stop, you said, they said, I can let these dream killers kill my self-esteem, but instead I use it as steam to power my dreams. You're living your dream. Relax. Speaking of LeBron, yeah, so we got some footage of Russell Westbrook. He had just been assessed a foul, I believe, against Sacramento. And Patrick Beverley, during that time, you do a huddle. If you ever play basketball, after a foul, you huddle up as a team. If somebody on your team committed a foul, while they're going to the foul line or getting ready to set up, y'all huddle up real quick and y'all just talk and just gather yourselves. You have an opportunity to say, this happened in the last 3 or 4 plays. Let's try and keep that momentum. Or we need to fix this. Let's move on defense. We need to move. Let's talk more. We need to talk more. Hey, when I call out for the pick and roll, do this and then cut this way because he's doing this. You have an opportunity to strategize. But instead, it appeared that Russell Westbrook did not, while Patrick Beverley was trying to pull everybody in, Russ didn't go out. Now, LeBron came into the huddle with his ears open. Now, who does LeBron need to listen to? He didn't. He didn't have to listen to Patrick Beverly. He's much more celebrated. He has championships. He has all these things. LeBron doesn't have to do that. Anthony Davis, he has a championship at least, and he's a star player, an all star, a superstar, if you will, when he's not injured. So it just looked in that it was a bad look for Russ. But some would say that who watched the actual game, because we only saw the clip. Clip, zero context. It just looked like Russ wasn't about to go in that huddle because Patrick Beverly was calling the huddle. It just looked like that. And people make a story out of anything. Don't let people just make a story out of anything, man. That's not good for anybody. Just handle your business, man. And stop trying to make, well, I understand in some parts of the media that you want people to click on your link, click on your page, click on your website, click on whatever it is. You know, they want people strum up stories. Yes, Russ should have got his shit together, stopped arguing with that ref, and got in there with his team and handle his business. Yes, but I can also understand what it's like to be upset on a foul call that you feel like you didn't do. We know he's feisty and all that. We understand and get all that. I get it. I understand. And I think he was wrong because the optics were not good. We already think that you still beefing with Pat Beverly. We all think, and I know you upset because everybody thinks that you just don't need to be on the Lakers. At this point, he's a grown man. Do what you want to do. I understand that. Who am I? But at this point, I mean, you got on the Supermax deal. I don't even know if anybody wants Russ at this point. Even though he still scores, rebounds, and has a lot of assists, yes, he has a lot of plays that you wish he could take back. I get that. But optics are everything, and you have to look to the future. What you do right now in the present has a lot to do with what you do in the future, period. And that wasn't a good look. But I don't think that he was trying to disrespect Patrick Beverly's huddle that he was trying to make. Patrick Beverly is a consummate team player. I'm glad he's on this team. Everybody just needs to lock in. I think everybody's talking about, oh, we need to do this. We need to trade for this, and we need to do this with the Pacers. Which Russ, hey man, you might. I'm just saying. But for right now, you are a Laker, and I like the addition of Patrick Beverly. Again, he's a consummate team player. I like it. I'm here for it. So, Russ, optics, everybody's eyes are on you. They already feel like you're beefing with the Lakers organization and you're beefing with Patrick Beverly. And do your best to try to not make that a story, man. Like, all eyes are always on the Lakers, man. Everybody's talking about, oh, man, best case scenario, that'd be a fifth seed. The whole world is still watching them. Why y'all care about a fifth seed so much? We don't talk about the Clippers. The only reason we talk about the Warriors is Draymond. But Warriors are non-news. Clippers are non-news. And they're like the 1 and 2 at this point. People are saying those are the 2 in the West. Not sure about Phoenix, but non-news. Everybody's worried about the Lakers. Some people are saying, like, shoot, they might be in the play-in tournament. So for such a bad team, y'all eyes are always on them. So now that you know this, no matter what you do, if y'all have a bad season, they on your ass. If you have a good season, they on your ass. All eyes are on you as a Laker. So I don't know everything. I ain't no NBA player. But I will say, Russ, the optics are there. And you got to understand that all eyes are on you. But maybe you can't go to a place like the Pacers where, you know, quote unquote, people don't care. Maybe you should ask them, like, hey, y'all going to make that Pacers thing happen? But if you want to remain a Laker and stay close to home, make the optics look good, be a good team player. You know, if you're arguing with the refs, at least still embrace your teammates. Be a good teammate. That's all I can say for you, Russ, at this point. Our final full story. We're going in. I'm going to Charleston White. Now, Charleston White is this internet personality that's doing his thing. He's calling out people. He's snitching on people. What we call snitching, we're not going to use it in a bad term. He's just saying, when people want to commit crimes, especially black folk, he's like, I'm going to just call the police because, y'all won't do nothing. And he's recently been beefing with T.I. because he was talking about the appearance of T.I.'s son, King. He's also been beefing with Boosie because he said something about Boosie's son. He's made basically the thought of like, hey, y'all rich kids, you are the youngest of T.I.'s kids, allegedly, and you don't need to be acting all tough and hard and getting in trouble with the police and all that stuff that you've been doing. He's 18 years old, 18, 19, something like that. He's young. He's young. I get it. He's young, but you're an adult. You will go to prison if you commit the right crime. But he's speaking on that, and then he's speaking about gang members and stuff like that. Let's talk about it, man. I'm gonna say this, and I'm not doing a hot take thing. I think that this makes sense. I think there are some things that Charleston White says that does make sense. Like, I don't feel like us as black people, as black men who are viewed as the bottom of the bottom, most replicated, but we're viewed as the bottom of the bottom in society every single day life. We sometimes even fear each other. We put rules on each other that we don't put on other people. Checking in. Let's talk about checking in. Hey, if I go to LA or I go to parts of Chicago or I go to some other known heavily urban areas that are predominantly black or people of color, if I have a lot of money or something, I have to check in with them. What does that even sound like? I go somewhere with people that look like me, and I have to check in with them. So that means I have to pay an amount of money or let people know that I'm coming so that nobody that looks like me will rob or even worse me. That shit sounds stupid as fuck. Are you kidding me? I have to fear people that look just like me to walk around and do things because since I look like them, I gotta check. I gotta check in. But he makes good points. Charleston White makes good points. Do you make that person that's tearing down the hood and gentrifying it, or that person that's just that light-skinned person that's walking around looking to survey the area to tear down your neighborhood and the things that y'all own, do they got to check in when they come in? No, nobody says anything. Nobody says, get out of our neighborhood. Don't try and buy nothing out of our neighborhood. Don't you do that. But such and such comes in that looks like you, and they just want to go to Roscoe's or they just want to get some good old food from a classic soul food restaurant. They have to check in with you because they look like you. So you feel like you can you feel like you can bully people that look like you in order to get some sort of do you do that to the police? Police ride around there. Y'all might say fuck the police, but you don't. You don't shoot them. You don't threaten them. You don't say, cops, you better not come back in this neighborhood. You don't do that, do you? I think he has a point on that. Like, there's such a self-hatred, or there's such a, I say this on all my shows, we're always trying to be the best of the worst because the world views us as black people, as black men, as the worst of the worst. So what we try and do is like, I know I'm the worst of the worst, but I'm gonna be the best of the worst. So I'm gonna have the power. All the worst of the worst are going to have to bow down to me. But when other people come around that don't look like you don't have much to say. Shorty killed my cousin. We gonna get at him. We gonna shoot his grandmama out. George Zimmerman is a prime example of somebody that did something strictly out of hate for what we look like. What's that person that does not look like me and he is dark? He is a part of that community that is the worst of the worst. I know what I can do because nobody's going to care and I'm going to get off. Trayvon Martin. What you doing around here? Trayvon Martin. George Zimmerman's living good. Ain't nobody try him. But somebody comes to your city and you say you gotta check in. Somebody that looks like you. I think I think it's a valid point. I'm not advocating violence against police. I'm not advocating violence against other races. I'm advocating for people to give more of a fuck about their people that look like them. Shit is stupid. Like, this is facts. And I just really feel like Charleston White said some things that make sense. We quick to jump on each other, kill each other, do all this stuff. Praise people that say, man, I got 19 bodies. You know what? That boy that we was talking about earlier, he got 17 bodies, right? He's going to jail for life. You know, everybody been watching that boy Dahmer on Netflix. Oh, they love that show. He got life. Eventually would be unalived in jail during his captivity. But he killed a lot of people. And then you got people on songs and people in the hood bragging about all the people that look like you, bragging about it. I mean, doesn't that make you a serial killer too? Shit's not cute, man. It's not cool. It's not conducive to our race. And that's why other races look at us the way that they look at us. We need to start giving a fuck about ourselves so that we can start giving a fuck about other people that look like us. Shit ain't cool, man. I should be able to go to any neighborhood and not have to worry about nothing. Shouldn't nobody be pressing me about, hey, where you from? Where you from? Where you from? Ask me where I'm from. I'm just walking down the street, bruh. I just so happen to like the Los Angeles Dodgers. I just so happen to like the Houston Astros. I just so happen because, I just love the Blue Ranger. He was the smart one of the Blue Rangers, so I wear blue a lot. Doesn't mean I'm a part of some other set of people that look like you that you hate. And that's the problem I got. So, I mean, man, everybody talking about, oh, he's snitching to the police. No, he telling on that. You worried about him telling on you because y'all, man, he black and he telling on people. Well, he's black and you're shooting him. Man, he black, he gonna tell the police, You robbed somebody the other day that looks like you. Come on, man. Make it make fucking sense, man. Y'all niggas be tripping. Period. But I'm just leave it at that. And our final piece, this is breaking news here. It's been alleged that a new civil suit has been brought upon Deshaun Watson. I have no details on this. It's just been brought to my attention. We have a new civil suit involving Deshaun Watson. I'm just going to say, why don't you come with the rest of them? Because there's strength in numbers. You coming by yourself. Do you just want the publicity? Is this something that's true? He's settled with everybody. He's got a suspension. What's your motivation for coming out now on October 14th or October 13th, whenever it happened? What's your motivation? Is it something that really happened? Are any of these cases really true? Is he really a super duper freak like that? Are these people trying to get a cash grab? I don't know. He got $232 million guaranteed coming to him. I don't know. I don't know the specifics. Allegedly, this is something that happened. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. This is a very bizarre thing. But we also need to remember that Brett Favre stole $5 million from welfare in Mississippi, which is the poorest state in the country, that have the poorest people that definitely need assistance. So I'm just throwing it out there. So prayers up for everybody involved in each one of these situations that we talked about today. But I was thinking about that Westbrook situation, and it's got me to thinking. Now, ladies, if you're looking for somebody that's willing to enter the huddle whenever you call one with no hesitation, ain't no arguing with nobody, then look no further than me. That's right. Go to christianmingle.com and look up our Swallow Mute. That's right, honey girl. Whatever you got to say in the huddle, I'm all ears. Also, you can find me on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and mama, I'm on Spotify. Overall 99 Media. We got a handle now, baby. We out here. You can catch us on YouTube, Overall 99 Media. We got Blurred Cartel. Shout out to them boys. My boy Monray, Make It Make Sense. We got Locker Room Talk. We got Man Cave. We got my show, Do You Hear Me with Unico Williams. We have so many different shows, Just a Fan. And man, it's just going down. We just basically the new BT. And we just better because we're not going to keep on showing y'all reruns of Hell Day. So, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Do You Hear Me? With Unico Williams. I holla. Thanks for watching. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. Don't forget, every Thursday, the full podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and mama, I'm on Spotify. Overall 99 ENT bring you videos from Friday all the way to Friday. So be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. Again, thank you so much.